I think the project is, to me, it's project has always been about question. The way you're educated about the country as well as the way you're educated about architecture.
And I think what I knew about Canada at that time was a very romantic picture.
What will be your first settling? What will be your first dwelling if you encounter a new land? This is a kind of self-reflective kind of project and trying to draw out from your own stories and your backgrounds.
The project started with
Curiosity. Who are we and where are we?
coming to the realization that there are so many people like us who have come from different places to Canada and then see the world, I suppose, through a different cultural lens and who have this perspective from somewhere else.
My name is Jae-Sung and Johanna. I'm from Seoul, South Korea.
I'm Johanna Herme. I'm from Helsinki, Finland originally. I think the biggest shock was simply in my case, was moving from a city context, at a very urban context, to a very rural context. From the first day onward, I sort of thought that this was a completely new beginning and there's something amazingly exciting about being able to remap your life and somehow turn it back to a point zero.
Coming from Seoul, Korea, I'm arriving in North America. My mental image was New York. Okay, I'm going in there, right? And people will be like hustling and bustling and jazz on the street and all these things, right? I landed in Toronto, and in my 10-minute drive to my residence at the time was shocking. I thought it was a ghost town. But nobody's on the street. I mean, that 10-minute drive was so powerfully different. I understood later that you've spent time with your family. You go home and you spend time with your friends.
I'd spent probably 20 hours on the plane and through different airports to get to Winnipeg. We're maybe half an hour away, and there's this light in the distance. And it just kept on hovering there in the distance at the same size, and this was 20 minutes into it. It was still the same. I thought at this point that I'm probably hallucinating. We hit the town of Waldersea, and it's the town light, and all of a sudden, boom, it becomes bigger and closer, and then in seconds it's all over, and we pass the town and head to the farm. This is the perspective on the landscape, because it's so open, it's so flat, that you'd be able to see the light that way for almost half an hour while you're driving, and this of course wouldn't happen back home.
Who else is doing this? Who else is feeling this sensation? Who shares his sentiment, and how do they do it? How do they practice their kind of cultural or architectural kind of operation?
We first got together, Jay, Sasha and myself, in our office about a year and a half ago now to talk about what we should submit to the Canada Council for the project, to be able to go to the Biennale. It was sort of the moment where we really realized that we have something very, very common.
You know, largely architecture today especially is understood through visuals. If you really understand the architecture through the living stories, it's far more profound.
We thought that one of the mechanisms through which we could expand that picture would be to have an architectural competition to collect the work.
The project became very interesting to really become a platform for them to appear, and not only to appear but also to paint a good picture of what to come in future generation of architecture in Canada. It's a collection of stories really, and collection of artifacts that are based on stories. So it's a mix of consistency and variation that created a variety of landscapes across different exhibitions.
How does one inhabit a place that they call home? It's really is the first act of settlement into a new surroundings.
They tell these anecdotes of settling, and that actually is an amazing way to construct your kind of environment around you, understand your environment around you. And I think that's a very interesting way to access the understanding of architecture. I think that's what the project is about.